So we're going to talk a little bit about Twitter. So just a little street cred. It always helps to kind of tell people why you're talking about a topic. So I've been on Twitter since 2009, and I am about 40 people short of 2,000 followers. And by the way, if you can get 1,000 followers, you are in the 96th percentile of Twitter users. So 1,000 is great. I mean, I know that I'm never going to be up there with, Justin Bieber, Madonna. I don't even aspire to that, but I do aspire to 2,000. So if any of you would like to follow me, I'm Money Talk 1. It's MONEYTALK and the number 1. And the way I use Twitter in my work is for outreach, for marketing, different programs that we do, for example, webinars that I'm presenting, and then also for professional development. So I take in as much information as I'm putting out to my followers. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about briefly in about 15 minutes is I'll just talk about basic Twitter functions, and I'll send you home with a homework assignment if you want to get on Twitter and you don't currently have a Twitter handle. We'll talk a little bit about how you would use Twitter in marketing your farm business, and how Twitter chats operate, because that's a wonderful marketing, visibility opportunity, and also professional development, right? So people are talking about the MyRA, the new retirement savings plan that came out. So it's a bunch of people that are just getting together to talk about a topic, and I'll talk about some agriculture chats that are out there. And then also to measure your impact. So if you're going to spend time with Twitter, how are you going to measure the results? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Very often you can link your various social media platforms to one another. So it doesn't have to be like all separate types of work. They can all be kind of commingled with one another. Why do you want to be on social media? Because if Facebook were a country, if they added up all the people that are on Facebook in the world, it would be the third largest country after China and India. So that's a lot of people, a whole lot more people than live in the United States or any other country. And it's where people are going. And if you look about search engines, after Google, the most powerful search engine, most frequently used, is YouTube. So people are just out there searching for information online. Even Twitter itself, I looked up the recent statistics there, and 645 million registered users just on Twitter. So there's just a lot of people that are out there. So why do you use Twitter for your farm business? Well, first of all, it's cheap. Now let's make that free, but it's not really free because obviously there's a price for your time. But there's no other barrier other than the time barrier. You think about what it would cost to go to your local newspaper and put an ad in. It's going to be pretty expensive. So you don't have to worry about that. And again, it was mentioned previously that even if you're in a time crunch, there are applications out there. There's TweetDeck, there's Hootsuite, where you can schedule your tweets in advance. So you would put them in when you do have time and then schedule them to come out at various time intervals. So the cost is a really great thing. There's not a bunch of barriers there. It's fast. You can literally have a flash mob at your farm. And I've seen this in operation personally. I don't have a farm, but I volunteer at a thrift shop up in Sussex County. So anyway, we were starting to get a lot of donations in. So last week, we just had a flash sale. So they just put it out on the various social media platforms for the store, that our racks were full, 50% off, 2 days only. You make it urgent and important. That's another very key marketing principle. So people know that it's not going to be out there forever. You want to get them in the store. And we really moved a lot of clothes last weekend. So you could do the same thing with peaches. If you've got a glut of peaches or a glut of strawberries or whatever it is that your product is that you want to move it, you either create a scarcity, or maybe you really do have a scarcity, or whatever. You put the word out and you can do it very quickly. And then you have the multiplier effect, because don't forget that people that are following you on social media also have friends and followers of their own, so that if they retweet your message, it goes to a lot broader audience than the people that originally just were following you. It's very easy to learn, And it's available 24/7, 365. So anytime you want to get a message out, if you want to do it at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're not sleeping, you're in your PJs, you can hit your computer and put out some messages. Although they say that it's not a good idea if you're trying to sleep to use a computer, because all that blue light or whatever. Okay, so anyway, this is how you tweet. You basically have 140 characters, which include punctuation like periods or semicolons or spaces or whatever. You have 140 characters to put a message out. And most people are putting links into their tweets, so it's not just the message itself, but also linking them maybe to your website or to a press release or some other additional piece of information about your business. So you put in 140 characters, and it's just basically you type it in the box there, and it counts down the characters. So if you start ending up in the minuses, you know that you got to cut a few characters there to make it all fit. So you have 140 characters to say something, to share something, to promote something about your business. And it's really important, too, that when you create your Twitter account that you do a really good job on your profile. Particularly if you choose a Twitter handle, and that's the name that you would use, like I'm Money Talk One. Because Money Talk One isn't my name, it's really important that I put, some credentials about who I am. So it shows my picture and it has my name in the profile, but it doesn't show up in my Twitter handle. So, of course, I'm telling people I'm a certified financial planner, I'm extension specialist at Rutgers University. So you get 160 characters to fill out your profile and tell people who you are. Some people will talk kind of like a bio kind of thing, like I did, credentials and job title. Some people will put their missions in their profile, the mission of our business. Even that marketing statement that we had, somebody shared before, if you can get that down to 160 characters, you can put that in as well. So it's your choice as to what you want to put in there. I think it's really important when you use social media of any type to have a game plan. Why are you using this social media? Are you going to be using it for professional use only? Are you going to use it for personal use only, or are you going to use it as a combination of the two? Because that's important. It's gonna drive what you would post in various platforms and who your followers might be, what you might say, that sort of thing. So, for example, my mission statement that I use to guide my tweeting is to provide useful, research-based personal finance information, occasional, non-controversial personal anecdotes. But that's my mission, so that drives what I do. Another thing that you think about, and kind of goes to the question we had before about who has permission to use your social media platforms, is you don't ever want to post anything in social media that you wouldn't say before an audience or put into a newspaper release. So if you wouldn't say it and you wouldn't write it, you shouldn't be putting it out on social media, and that will keep you from having any problems, and make sure that your staff knows that as well. So what you want to do with social media, and again, this could be Twitter or any of the other platforms, is you want to build a network. You want to have followers that you're engaging in. You want to engage with people. It's not just broadcasting, like come to our farm, we have the greatest peaches in New Jersey. It's got to be kind of conversation back and forth with people, providing information of value to them, thanking them. There's a really great book out by Gary Vaynerchuk called The Thank You Economy. I highly recommend it for business owners. And it's just all about thanking people, giving them kind of shout outs, hoping that they'll give you some shout outs, and just really building the relationship, even if you never meet these people face to face. And then, of course, tracking and analyzing your impact. Okay, so what can you tweet about? Maybe I've convinced you now, yeah, I got to get on Twitter, but then you're saying to yourself, okay, so I get on Twitter, what do I do next? What do I tweet about? Well, you might have a newsletter. More and more businesses these days are doing online newsletters, so you may have a link to your newsletter, or maybe there's a press release. Maybe the local newspaper came to your farm and wrote up an article about what you're doing, so you'd want to make sure that you're getting that link out to that newspaper article. Maybe you've been quoted somewhere. Or maybe you've just seen an interesting topic related to some agricultural issue and you want to get that out to people. Again, providing them information of value. Or maybe you're going to cross-post with your Pinterest or your Facebook pages so that you're getting, really good mileage from all three of those together. Maybe something comes out from a reputable source like USDA, some new guidelines on something, and you want to get that information out. Maybe recipes. How many of you are already sharing recipes for products that you might have? Anybody? Okay, well, again, you want to make your products as valuable to people as possible. If they buy something and don't know how to use it, that's not going to be really good. So just giving them some recipes, perhaps, that they could use. Or maybe just key concepts, telling people that peaches are in season, or this is the time to, buy such and such. Just getting people to kind of relate the season of the year to what might be happening at your farm. And then, like I mentioned before, you can have flash sales. So if you have to move some product or you just want to drive some more traffic to your farm stand, let's say, if that's an issue, you could use some tweets to get that out. Okay, so how do you tweet? Well, basically, the key thing that you have to know is this hashtag. And everybody's heard on advertising on television, there was a car commercial and they were saying hashtag Chevy and hashtag this. Hashtag is just basically how people find your content in Twitter. So, for example, hashtag farm. If anybody was doing a word search on the word farm and you had that hashtag in your tweets, it would show up in a search, okay? So a hashtag is a way to call attention to something that you want people to find in a search. Or it could be a combination of words. When I first started on Twitter, the convention was to put an underscore between two words. So if it was like farm women, it would be farm underscore women. Now more and more people are just mashing words, so it's just farm women, even though that's not technically a word. You smush a lot of words together on Twitter and they kind of look like words. So people will search that way, farm women. If you want somebody to see your tweet, like I've been going back and forth with the folks from Turkey since the other day, since they came to Rutgers, I've just been putting the @ in front of them. Today, when we took some of the pictures, I wanted to make sure people at Rutgers that are tweeting down on our campus, so I would put @RutgersNJES, and then somebody back in our communications office will see that, and hopefully they'll retweet it to everybody who's following Rutgers NJES. It's recommended that you actually use only 120 characters, even though you can go to 140. That gives somebody else a latitude to add a few more characters of their own. Although in recent, less than a year now, they've had this feature called Quote Tweet. So it's not as imperative as it used to be because you now have the option to not just retweet somebody, but if you click on Quote Tweet, you can add 140 characters of your own that kind of amplify what they've done. So, they might put out something, great article on raising sheep in New Jersey. And then I could come along and quote tweet it and say, yes, this was a great article. I learned a lot from it. So you can kind of add your own opinions on somebody else's, which is really good. And then if you ever get to a farm conference, more and more now conferences are using Twitter. I don't know if they've done that with New Jersey Farm Bureau or any of the ag conventions here in the state, but I go to professional conferences now and there's literally a back channel. So last week I was at Financial Planning Association here in New Jersey, so they had a hashtag FPANJ16. And that was like the handle, and then there was a whole conversation going on, kind of a back channel to the conference where people were summarizing things that the speakers had said or commenting on them. So you want to kind of engage with your followers. Like I said before, it's not about broadcasting, like come to our farm, we're the greatest farm in New Jersey. It's engaging. So it's asking people questions like, do you want fresh farm veggies? Come to our farm. So you're kind of getting people hooked with a question. You want to show interest in others. Just again, if people compliment you, you're complimenting them back. It's all about building the relationship. And a lot of times, especially with farming, you can incorporate current events. seasonal events, when various types of products come into season, or harvest festivals in the fall, corn mazes, that kind of thing. You can build those in. Again, providing facts and links, retweeting information when you see something from another source and you think it's really valuable to pass along. The other key thing is that with Twitter you can do what they call direct messaging to somebody. So I've been doing that with our Turkish friends during the week, just kind of, if you do kind of, again, put the @ sign and their Twitter handle, you can kind of have a direct message conversation with somebody. Instead of using email, you can do it through Twitter. And you will always get a little, if you have any messages coming in from somebody, it'll show up, there'll be like a number on the notifications icon, and that will tell you that other people have sent some kind of notification to you that there's been some contact from another Twitter user. And then what a lot of people do is FFs, which is basically kind of acknowledging on Friday all of the people that you follow. There's information about Twitter chats. Basically all it is using your hashtag. People get together at a certain time, like 3 p.m. on Wednesday, like these financial people, and they basically chat. And literally what you do is you put out questions like Q1, Q2, people come back with A1, A2. Very often they tie the Twitter chat to the name of the program. There's more than 300 Twitter chats out there, and there are different platforms that you can use for them. Some of them have guest tweeters, some of them have prizes. The two that are related to agriculture that are probably the most frequently used is Ag Chat and Women Ag Chat. So there are Twitter chats that people can follow for agriculture. And there's different metrics out there. I don't have enough time to go through all of them, but obviously things like direct messages and retweets are metrics. There's things called clout. You can get your clout score, and it will tell you, score from 1 to 100, how you're doing with engaging with people. And then finally, your assignment. So should you choose to do the assignment, what you'll need to do is pick out a Twitter handle, make sure that it hasn't been taken, and then get your password. So you'll have a username, your handle and your password. And from there, you're ready, good to go. And you can start tweeting and go forth and tweet. And follow me at Money Talk 1 if you'd like. And best wishes. Okay.